Hello everybody, in today's video we will be doing the chapter 21 of ACCA Business and Technology, Motivating Individuals and Groups. Before watching this video, I would request you all to watch the previous videos as well. The link of the playlist is given in the description box below. I'm giving you a minute to read the chapter learning objectives. Okay, so what is motivation? In an organization, motivation refers to the willingness of individuals to perform a certain task or action. It is the incentive or reason for them to behave in a particular way. So, when you're motivated, you do the work better, right? So, it is just how much you're willing to do the work, which is mainly based on the incentive you get and something which drives you to do the work. In practice, motivation is taken as meaning how hard an employee is willing to work in their job. It goes beyond employees merely following rules and orders, and it looks at how dedicated they are to do the work. It's not just based on what the rules and regulations are. People who give their extra bit, how motivated and how dedicated they are, that refers to the motivation. Having motivated staff members has a range of benefits from the perspectives of both the organization and the individuals or teams themselves. So, the organizational perspective. So, then when people are motivated, then the organization would have harder working employees. And when people are motivated and dedicated, they make fewer mistakes, so less waste of time is there because people are dedicated to do their work and there is less wastage of resources. More suggestions and ideas are generated. People will be more participative in the organization. Increased job satisfaction and therefore lower staff turnover. If people are satisfied with their jobs and if people are willing to do the work, then people will not leave the organization, which means that there will be low staff turnover. More customer satisfaction due to better service from staff. Since the service from the staff is good, so customers would like to buy from us, right? Individual perspective. So, as an individual, if I am motivated to do my job, I would have greater job satisfaction. I would have improved health because there is low stress because I'm enjoying what I'm doing. It improves career prospects because I am doing good work. Finding the job more interesting and enjoyable. Team perspective. As a team, there is increased cooperation, there is more commitment to the team needs, and better ideas generation and evaluation. As there are so many advantages of having motivated workers, motivation is a key issue for most managers. Unfortunately, motivation is difficult to measure directly, meaning that managers have to look at other factors that may indicate the level of motivation within an organization. It often includes staff turnover or productivity levels. However, remember that these factors could also be caused by issues other than employee motivation. For instance, low productivity could also be caused by poor working practices within the organization rather than unhappy staff. So, what is the difference between motivation and satisfaction? There is a difference between motivation and satisfaction. Satisfaction is that we're just satisfied with our jobs, we're okay with doing the job as it is. But motivated is that we are satisfied, but we're also very much enjoying the job and we want to do better. So, that is what motivation is. It is important to distinguish between motivation and satisfaction. Motivation looks at how hard someone is willing to work, while satisfaction looks at whether they are content with their existing job and they're not looking for another. While the two are linked, they are different. In the short term, it is possible to have one without the other. But in the long term, you normally need both to retain an employee. Consider someone working for an aggressive manager who constantly shouts at them. They may be motivated to avoid further abuse from their manager, but they are probably looking for another job. So, poor working conditions will eventually reduce their motivation as well. For each of the characteristics listed below, indicate whether they are due to satisfaction or due to motivation. So low staff turnover. So that can happen even if a person is satisfied with their work, right? So this is one side. So this is satisfaction, fewer mistakes. So mistakes will be done less if you're more, dedicated. Higher productivity is also something which refers to the motivation. Motivation theories. So there are two types of motivation theory. The first one is content theory and the second one is process theory. So what is content theory? Content. What is in content in the theory? It is ask the question, what are the things that motivate people? They're also referred to as the need theories and assume that human beings have a set of needs or desired outcomes which can be satisfied through the work. So the content theory basically states that there are a certain set of needs which every employee or every worker has and they need to be met. So that is what are the things that motivate the people. At the same time, let's see what process theories are. So instead of asking the question what, the process theory focuses on the question how are people motivated. They attempt to explain how individuals start, sustain, and direct behavior and assume that individuals are able to select their own goals. So, according to the process theory, it states that every individual has different goals and different needs. So that's the difference between content and process theories. Content theories assume that everyone responds to motivating factors in the same way and that there is one best way to motivate people. Whereas the process theories change the emphasis from needs to goals, which are goals and processes by which workers are motivated. So, process theory believes that everyone has different motivating factors. If I am motivated by a higher pay, it's not necessary that even you are motivated by the higher pay. Maybe you want more of employee benefit. So, it differs from person to person. That's what states in the process theory. Content theories. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So, this is the Maslow hierarchy of needs. So, what did Maslow say? So, they said that the first need every person has is self fulfillment, which is the basic needs. First, we need to have the. Wait, I'm sorry. I'll repeat. Self fulfillment is the last one. This is the last second one. So we need to see this Maslow hierarchy of needs from the bottom to top. So the first one, as I said, is basic and physiological. So before doing the job, the first thing a worker or an employee needs is the basic salary, something which is required for the survival, something which is very basic, like safe working conditions and the basic salary, so that they'll be able to buy the food, they'll be able to buy the house, right? So, the second one is after a person's basic physiological needs are fulfilled, they look for safety and security. So, they need job security, they need fringe benefits. So, that's what is known as safety and security. And then we have social. So, once the basic and physiological and safety security needs are filled, a person looks to make friends, they need some social interaction since we humans are social beings. So, compatible work group, friendship at works, that is the third need after these two are met. And then, once these three needs are met, the person looks for ego satisfaction, which means they look for things which would motivate them, like merit pay increase, high status job title, respect of others. So, that is something which our ego requires. And after that, when all of these needs are met, then we go to self fulfillment, which means fulfilling our dreams, fulfilling our goals, which means that we take challenging job, we take creative task demands, advancement opportunities, and achievement in work, right? So, Maslow's theory may be summarized by saying that everyone wants certain things throughout their life. So, the first one, as we have said, was basic or physiological needs, the things needed to stay alive, such as food, shelter, and clothing. Such needs can be classified and it can be satisfied by money. And after that, we'll be looking for safety or security needs. People want protection against unemployment, the consequence of sickness and retirement, as well as being safeguarded against the unfair treatment. These needs can be satisfied by rules of employment, pension scheme, sick fund, employment legislation, etc. After these, we'll be looking for social needs. So the vast majority of people, they want to be part of a group, and it is only through group activities that this need can be satisfied. Thus, the way that work is organized, enabling people to feel part of a group, is fundamental to satisfaction of this need. And then we have ego needs. So the needs may be expressed as wanting the esteem and respect of other people and thinking well of oneself. While status and promotion can offer short term satisfaction, building up the job itself is giving people a greater say in how their work is organized and gives satisfaction of a more permanent nature. After fulfilling these needs, we go to the self fulfillment needs. So, that is quite simply the need to achieve something worthwhile in life. It is the need that is satisfied only by continuing success. For example, opening and running a new office. So, which of the following Maslow's hierarchy do the following factors relate to? I would want you all to answer this yourself and then check with me. So, please pause the video. So, a new job title, what would that fulfill? Obviously, that would fulfill the ego, right? Large pay rises, even that would also fulfill the ego. Sick pay. Sick pay is something which is related to the safety, as we have seen, right? So, that is safety. Christmas parties, this is something which fulfills the social needs. Challenging work is something where self fulfillment is involved, right? And then we have enough cash to live on, that is basic and physiological. Okay, test your understanding. Olivia is the MD of a successful design company and runs the board of directors. She has a generous pay package and pension arrangements. In a recent newspaper interview, she described her job as constantly challenging and always changing. Which need is this? So she's taking up challenging work and everything. So obviously she's in her self-fulfillment state. So what are the criticisms of Maslow's hierarchy? Individuals have different needs and they may not necessarily reach them in the same order. So that's what people said. Like, if I already have a basic physiological need satisfied, if I already have enough money to live on, if I already have safety, then I'll be just looking at the social aspect. So it's not the same for everybody. That is one of the criticism. Individuals may seek to satisfy several needs at the same time. I might be wanting ego fulfillment. At the same time, I might also be wanting social needs. Not all needs can be satisfied through work. Why might a graduate starting a new job who had already satisfied the basic needs on Maslow's hierarchy then seek to satisfy needs in a different order? See, a graduate who is starting a new job who has already satisfied their basic needs may seek to meet their social needs before worrying about the job security and long-term security. They might want, like social arrangements first. So that's what is stated by Maslow. Now we have Herzberg's two-factor theory. So Herzberg has given a two-factor theory. So what is given by Herzberg? Herzberg's model examined the two sets of factors that can be used to help get the best out of the workers. So what are the two things which Herzberg has said? Herzberg said that hygiene matters and motivators matters. These are the two things. So what is set in hygiene? So these are issues that must be addressed to avoid workers becoming dissatisfied with their jobs. If my workplace is not hygienic, I might not feel like working there anymore, right? So what do they include? Policies and procedures for staff treatment, appropriate level of pay and conditions, suitable levels of supervision, team working and interpersonal relationships, pleasant physical working environment. The absence of these will reduce the satisfaction level and lead to employees looking for work elsewhere. However, their presence will not lead to positive motivation. So these are something which need to be there. Like the organization I'm working with, it needs to be clean, it needs to be hygienic, it needs to have good ways of treatment. So that is something which I expect, like that is something which needs to be there. It does not enhance my motivation, but then it is something which is already expected, right? But even if it's not there, I will get disappointed and I will get demotivated. But if it's there, I don't get more motivated because it's something which I'm already expecting. And then we have motivators. So, what are motivators? These are issues that will motivate workers and stimulate improved performance. According to Herzberg, motivators include a sense of achievement, recognition of good work by management, increasing levels of responsibility, career progression and status increases, enjoying the job itself. So, these are the motivators. You will notice that the main motivators are to do with the value and satisfaction gained from the job itself, and are largely non financial in nature. So, Herzberg argued that the potential boost to employee motivation caused by increased pay were extremely limited. So, as I've said, a person who is poor, they might be happy with having high salary. But if I already have high salary, I might look at other motivators because I already have a high pay. So instead, Herzberg suggested that there are three types of job design that could be an effective tool for motivating employees. So, what are the job design which has been given by Herzberg? So, there are three types. The first thing which Herzberg said was the job enrichment, which means vertical job enlargement. So, what is Herzberg speak when he talks about job enrichment? So, this is something which is deliberate in a planned process to improve the responsibility, challenge, and creativity in a job. So, job enrichment means that it is basically involving giving an employee a greater level of responsibility and autonomy within their job, often involving problem solving or delegation. An accountant who is currently responsible for producing quarterly management accounts could have the role enriched so that they have to submit and explain them to senior management. The accountant could also be made responsible for dealing with many unexpected variances that have arisen. So, what is job enlargement? Job enlargement is horizontal job enlargement. So, this is an attempt to widen the employee's job by giving them a larger workload. So, now let's first talk about what are the differences between job enrichment and job enlargement. So, job enrichment means that I already have a certain job, I am being given more new type of work and I'm given a more load of work, and it is something which is different from what I'm already doing. Like right now, if I had to just make the quarterly reports, now I'll be given the my job is enriched. Now I also have to submit the work as well, right? But what is job enlargement? Job enlargement is just giving me more of the same work. It's just enlarging my work, giving me more work of something which I'm already doing. It has nothing new in it. Whereas in job enrichment, we have something enriching our work and we have something new to do. So, job enlargement does not involve higher level of work. It just simply more work of the existing work that the employee already undertakes. While some employees may see larger roles as higher status, Herzberg argued that there was relatively little motivational benefit. The third job design, which has been given by Herzberg, is job rotation, which means that employees will be rotated and they'll be doing different kinds of work. This is the planned rotation of the staff between jobs to alleviate monotony, and it provides a fresh and a challenging job. So they keep rotating the employees, so we keep doing different types of jobs instead of just sticking with the same kind of work every day. The documented example quotes a warehouse gang of four workers where the worst job was tying the necks of sacks at the base of the hopper after filling. Job rotation would ensure that equal time was spent by each individual on each job. While this would reduce boredom, Herzberg argued that it would often simply improve satisfaction rather than providing motivation. So, the three job designs which have been given by Herzberg were job enrichment, which is giving more different work, job enlargement, which is giving the same work but at a larger scale, Job rotation, which means people are rotated to do different jobs. Which of the following factors can be both a hygiene factor and a motivator to the employee? See, so pay. So pay can be a hygiene factor. We need to get a good pay, and it can also be a motivator because payment or the salary is something which motivates individuals. The quality of management would just be the hygiene. Working conditions would be hygiene, but it would not be a motivator. Level of responsibility the individual is given is a motivator, but it has nothing to do with the hygiene. So the answer is A, pay. Modern trends in job design have been aimed at the quality of working life for the worker and labor flexibility. Which of the Herzberg's three definitions would this be attributed for? So the answer had flexibility, working quality life, and labor flexibility, which means it is job rotation, right? So note that Herzberg's job designs do have problems. So as you know, there will be some sort of criticism against the job designs as well. So let's see what they are. So in job enrichment, giving an employee higher level work will eventually lead to an increase in the level of hygiene factors they require to be satisfied. Since they are giving more level of work, they expect a higher pay and their needs keep changing. So if an employee feels that they are doing the work of a manager, they will eventually expect to be paid as such. Failure to do so will obviously lead to dissatisfaction. What happens in a job enlargement? So this has limited usefulness for motivation. If an employee is already doing a tedious or a repetitive job, giving them more of this will not motivate them. The employee will have to do more work, again leading them to eventually expect a higher pay and conditions to compensate them. And what is the problem with job rotation? So every job requires a different skill. Just because you're keeping on rotating people to do different job, it's not necessary that if I'm good at one job, I'll be good at the other as well. So while interesting for the employee, changing roles can also be stressful, requiring the employee to learn new skills. In addition, in more complex roles, the organization will have an ongoing training for the workers that are being rotated. So this would, obviously be expensive, and it would also be time consuming. Okay, now we come to MacGregor's theory X and theory Y. So what has MacGregor said? So MacGregor suggested that managers make assumptions about their staff, both how they think and how they behave. So MacGregor said that every manager they make assumptions about how an employee is feeling, and it is given by MacGregor in two ways: theory X and theory Y. So what does the theory X assume? So theory X has assumptions that employees are assumed to dislike the work. They have to be forced, coerced, threatened, or forced to get the work done adequately. They dislike taking responsibility, preferring to be directed and told what to do. So, according to MacGregor, the first category, the first theory is theory X. So, in that, they just say that the workers do not like to work, workers are not doing the work, workers are not motivated, workers do not want to take the decisions. So, what should one do in such a situation? In such a situation, the manager has to put some tight rules and regulations, and the manager has to force them to do the work, otherwise, the work will not get done. So, managers therefore adopt an authoritarian, repressive style with tight controls. Effectively, the workforce is a problem that needs to be overcome by the management. Now, what does theory Y assume? Employees are assumed just the opposite of what was said in theory X. Employees are assumed to enjoy the work, with physical and mental effort being natural as play or rest. Employees are able to be motivated and take responsibility. Employees are able to exercise self control and self direction in order to achieve their goals. So, managers who make these assumptions about their workers are more participative or democratic in their approach. Employees are viewed as assets and are encouraged and empowered. So when everybody is doing the work and when everybody is cooperating, we take a democratic approach. We don't have strict rules because we know they're already doing the work. So we, you know, have a participative way of management, right? So that is what McGregor has said in theory X and theory Y. So what is the application? In reality, few managers tend to see their employees as precisely theory X or theory Y. Normally, managers will see their staff somewhere between the two extremes. The model given by McGregor is designed to make managers aware of the assumptions about the staff that they are making in the management approach, as well as the need to match their management style to the nature of the staff. A theory X workforce should not be managed using a democratic approach. A theory X person should be managed with an authoritarian approach. We just saw that. What is authoritarian? It is having strict rules and regulations and ordering them to do the work. While the manager of a theory Y will not get the best with an autocratic management style, right? Because they need to be participative. If everyone is motivated and they're doing the work, if you're still being autocratic and you're being, giving rules and regulations, then they won't feel like doing the work anymore. Theory Test Your Understanding 7. According to Douglas McGregor, theory X people dislike work, need direction and avoid responsibility. That's correct. Theory Y people dislike work. No. Theory Y people enjoy the work. People trying to satisfy ego needs. There's nothing mentioned like this by McGregor, right? So and this is given by Herzberg and not McGregor. So the answer is A. Now we come to process theories. So what are process theories? And process theories are given by Vroom. So the first one in process theory is Room's expectancy theory. So Room believed that people will only be motivated to do the tasks if they are confident that the tasks will help them reach the goals. So that's obvious, right? People will do some work only if they know that by doing the work they'll be able to reach their goals. So what did Vroom tell? Vroom said that force is equal to valence into expectancy. So this is the important part of the chapter, even though it's very easy, don't worry about that. So Vroom, in his expectancy theory, said that force will equal to valence into expectancy. Now let's go one by one and see what each of the word means. First, let's see what force is. So force is the strength of a person's motivation. Obviously, force is how much, like the strength of the motivation. What is valence? Valence is the strength of an individual's preference for an outcome. So it is basically like the strength, how much an individual has a preference for an outcome. Does the individual really want the outcome? If the individual really wants the outcome so bad, like then they'll work more. So that is what is known as valence. It means how much the individual wants the result. And expectancy is the probability of success, whether the person believes that they'll be able to do it or whether the person believes that they'll not be able to do it. So that comes under expectancy. So Vroom has told that force is equal to valence into expectancy, where valence means how much the individual or the employee wants the result, and expectancy is what the probability of the success is. Okay. Room's expectancy theory. Imagine you have been offered the chance to star on a prize show where you will be asked 50 questions in order to win a cash prize. Would you want to appear on the show or not? In other words, would you be motivated to win the cash? So, what has Room said? If you use the Room expectancy theory here, what would be our solution? So, the first thing is balance. I repeat it again. Balance is how much we want the result. So this looks at your preference for the outcome. If the price is only a small amount, you may be tempted not to bother. If there is a large price, then it might increase your motivation. So that depends on you, right? And the next thing is expectancy. This looks at your perception of your probability of success. If the questions are all on a topic that you have little knowledge of, you will not want to participate. If the questions are on a topic you are familiar with, you will want to go and do it, right? So that is what Rome has said. Force is equal to valence into expectancy. Valence means how bad we want the outcome, and expectancy is what we think, will we be able to do it or will we not be able to do it. Test your understanding 8. Charlotte lacks confidence. Her boss wants to motivate her by showing her that she has regularly exceeded targets in the past. So, which aspects of the room model is being focused on here? So, see, Charlotte's boss tells her that you have exceeded these many targets. So, what would that be? So, the answer is obviously expectancy. Why? Because, see, the perceived profitability of success is being modified and not the value of the reward. So we know that valence was something which is related to the output, that how bad you really want it. But when we see the probability of us succeeding, that is something exceeded targets in the past. So that is something which is related to the probability. So that comes under expectancy. Rewards and incentives. A reward is something given to an individual or a group in recognition of their services, efforts, or achievements. So, rewards that an organization offers to its employees can either be intrinsic or they can be extrinsic as well. So, what are intrinsic rewards? Intrinsic rewards arise from the performance of the job itself. Intrinsic rewards include the feeling of satisfaction that comes from doing a job well, being allowed to make higher level of decisions, or being interested in your job. So intrinsic rewards are something which we cannot see through the eye. Intrinsic rewards are something which are just felt by us, like job satisfaction, happiness, motivation. All that is intrinsic reward. What is an extrinsic reward? Extrinsic rewards are separate from the job itself and are dependent on the decisions of others. The workers have no control over these rewards. Pay, working conditions, and benefits are all extrinsic rewards. So, I hope you are able to understand the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic. Extrinsic is something which is not in the job, like higher pay is something which we can see, which is something material, right? It's not something which is it's not a feeling. That is extrinsic reward. Intrinsic reward is like motivation, happiness, and the satisfaction. The feelings are the intrinsic rewards. Note that the extrinsic rewards are closely linked to Herzberg's hygiene factors, while intrinsic factors tie to the Herzberg's motivators. Which one of the following is an intrinsic reward? Okay. Intrinsic reward are something which are related to the feelings, company car, extra holiday entitlement, on the job training of new result, and bonus payment. Obviously, what is the answer? The answer is C, because other things are all extrinsic, but training is a feeling, is something which is related straight to the job. Reward systems. The offering of positive rewards to employees is a key motivational issue for most organizations. However, reward systems should be carefully designed in order to ensure that they are fair and consistent for all employees, even for those workers with different job sizes or required levels of skill. So obviously the reward system must be fair for everybody. It should not be biased. It should not be discrimination, and they are sufficient to attract and retain staff, maintain and improve levels of employee performance, reward progression and promotion, comply with legislation and regulation like minimum wage laws, control salary costs. So, employees can be rewarded in a number of ways, including through ongoing development and training, which will boost their future career prospects. This links back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, as continuous development will help to meet the self fulfillment and the ego needs, right? However, most employees will be particularly interested in their remuneration. One way that businesses tie the performance of their employees to their pay is through the use of incentive schemes. So, what are incentive schemes? So, there are three main types of incentive scheme. The first one is PRP, which is performance related pay. So, that is something which deals with how you're performing, and based on your performance, you get the pay. The first one is piece work. So, reward related to the pace of work or amount of effort. The faster the employee works, the higher the output and the greater the reward. So, piecework is something which speaks about how fast you're doing the work and how quickly you're doing the work. Since you do the work quickly, the output is also more. So, that is something which is related to piecework. The next one is MBO, management by objectives. So, what is management by objectives? Key results are identified for which rewards will be paid on top of salary. So every organization has certain objective. So when we see the results and we see that due to some person our objective has been met, we give them more money. So that is known as management by objectives. And then we have points system. Okay, so performance related pay, this is inside performance related pay, we have piecework, management by objective, point system, and commission. Now we come to point system. So what is point system? Point system is basically an extension to MBO, reward systems, where a range of rewards is available based on a point system derived from the scale of improvements made, such as the amount of cost reduction achieved. So point system is that uh, you know we have a range of rewards which is based on point system. Like every improvement you make, there is a point for that. And then we have commission, paid on the performance of an individual and typically paid to salaried staff in sales functions, where commission is earned by proportion of sales made. So we have some targets made that if you have this much, how many ever sales you make, that much commission you get, right? So that was performance related pay, which had piecework, management by objectives, point system, and commission. Now we have bonus schemes, which is the second type. So what are bonus schemes? Usually a one-off as opposed to PRP schemes, which are usually a continual management policy. Bonuses may also be awarded to teams or groups that have met or beaten certain targets. Group bonuses can help the team pull together and work as a cohesive unit, but may lead to conflict if some members of the team are seen to be doing less work than others. So when a group of people achieve a certain target, we can give them bonus for that. However, it has advantages as well as disadvantages. Advantages is that the group will be highly motivated and they will want to do the work more better and stuff. And the it can have disadvantage because in a group not everyone does the work, but then when you get bonus the entire group gets, so that is kind of unfair. And then we have profit sharing. So what is profit sharing? It is usually available to a wide group of employees, often company wide, where payments are made in the light of the overall profitability of the company. Share issues may be a part of the scheme. So this is something which is like related to like overall company in a way that if how much ever profit we get, we share it with the employees. Incentives need to encourage effort or action towards the delivery of organizational objectives, so there may be potential conflict when contrasting long and short term objectives, right? So, what are the long term incentive schemes? These will be those that are designed to continuously motivate and deliver organization objectives. Short term incentive are on a short term basis. They will be those that motivate in the short term, but they do not deliver ongoing motivation and are achieved at the detriment of a longer term objective, right? So these are what we have seen as the reward system. There are three main types. First one is performance related pay. Second one was bonus schemes, and then we have profit sharing. So in the performance related pay, we saw piecework, which means at how fast a person is doing the work, management by objectives, which means results are identified and rewards are given, point system, which is just that based on points derived on the scale of improvement made, and then commission, which is just the fact that how much ever work you've done, you get commission for that much. Bonus schemes are something which will be given to a group. Profit sharing means the overall profit will be distributed among the people as well. Consider the following statements regarding reward and incentive. Incentive schemes should have a balance of long term and short term measures to ensure that staff consider the immediate and the future needs of the organization. That is true. A point system refers to the payment of bonuses to the employees when an organization achieves a profit above a predetermined level. So that's not true. That was profit based, right? So the answer is A, which is 1 only. Highly satisfied employees always show increased levels of productivity in an organization compared to dissatisfied employees. Highly satisfied employees always show increased level of productivity in an organization. Is that true or no? See, it is false. Why? Because it has something to do with motivation. Just because you're satisfied or you're okay with something doesn't mean that you will be productive in it, right? That has something to do with the motivation factor. Martin is a caretaker at a school where his wife is a teacher. They have 3 young children and have just moved into a new house, which they cannot afford on Martin's wife's salary alone. Which of this needs is likely to be motivating? So this is obviously A, because they need a shelter. So that's something basic and physiological according to the Maslow's hierarchy theory. Parallels can be drawn between Maslow's hierarchy of needs and Herzberg's two-factor theory. Maslow's ego need can be linked to motivating factor of recognition. Which hygiene factor from the following would best match with Maslow's social needs? So something which would match social needs of Maslow. So obviously that would be A, which would be sports facilities, because that would deal with the social needs of the individual, right? Pay, pension, working would have nothing to do with the social or the group or the social needs of individual. Which of the following is not an issue that needs taking account of when setting the basic salary of the employee? Rewards offered by similar or rival organization, legislation and regulation, motivation of employee, control the total salary costs. Obviously, motivation, we can't look at we can't be like this person is more motivated, I will give him more salary. That is not a correct way, right? So we should not consider that for determining the salary. That is something which we can see for the rewards, but salary is something which will not be affected by the motivation of employees. Consider the following rewards offered to employees. Write down which of the 4 options are extrinsic rewards. Extrinsic was something which was not related to feelings. I hope you remember that. So it would be salary. Career progression is intrinsic. Holiday entitlement. Sick pay allowances. Enjoyment of the job is intrinsic. H. So the answer is A, C, D, H. I hope it's clear. There are a number of different theories surrounding the motivation of employees. The following are examples of specific terms from these models. The following sentences contain gaps. If a manager acts in an autocratic manner and fails to include staff when making decisions, this may be a sign that they are theory X manager. Obviously, we know that. In order to motivate employees, a manager increase the bonus they can earn each year from 10% of their salary to 20% of their salary. This increases the dash of the reward, increasing motivation. So this would increase the balance, right? This has something to do with the output. So the answer is C. The valence refers to the strength of the employee's preference for the outcome. By increasing the amount of the bonus, the manager is increasing employees' desire to attain it. So that has nothing to do with probability, right? It has something to do with the how much the person needs the reward. So let's just quickly revise what we've seen. Motivation. So we saw what motivation is, and then we also saw what the theories are: content theory and process theory. Content theories think that everyone has the same needs. Process theory think that everyone has different. Maslow has this five hierarchy of needs: basic, safety, social, ego, self-fulfillment. And then we saw what the criticisms are, and Herzberg has two-factor theory. Herzberg has two-factor theory, which is the hygiene factors and the motivators. And then we saw that Herzberg has given three job designs, which was job enrichment and job enlargement and job rotation. Then we saw McGregor has given theory X and theory Y. Theory X was someone who dislikes the work, theory Y was someone who's enjoying the work. And then we saw what Room said. Room's expectancy theory states that force is equal to valence into expectancy, where valence is how bad the person wants the outcome and expectancy is the probability. And Room's expectancy, after that we saw what a reward and incentives are, what are intrinsic rewards and what are extrinsic rewards. And then we saw the reward system, performance related pay, bonus schemes and profit sharing. And that's it, we're done with this chapter. I hope you've understood this chapter. Before we end this chapter, I know that the names can be a bit confusing, so let's just quickly write them down. So who was the first person we saw? We saw Maslow. We saw Maslow. So what did Maslow state? Maslow stated the triangle, which has basic, social and all those needs. After that we saw who Herzberg was. So what did Herzberg say? Herzberg said that there are two types, which is something which is based on hygiene and something which is based on motivators, right? That was given by Herzberg. And Herzberg also gave the job design, right? Herzberg also gave the job design, which had job rotation, job enlargement and job enrichment and job rotation. And then we came to Room. No, before Room we saw McGregor, right? And what did McGregor say? McGregor said that there is a theory X and there is a theory Y, right? And then after this, then we have done Room. What has Room said? Room said that force is equal to valence into expectation. I hope this is clear and you will not forget it. Thank you. The playlist link is given in the description box below. You can watch the other videos as well. Thank you.